River Bank community. Our movement was most, joining a passenger boat. The beauty of our travel is that for the first time we are in River Niger in full bloom, at the peak of rainy season, and at a point where its movement is a unity of River Niger and River Benue. At the middle of the river, you can look back and see the amazing profile of the river at a reasonable length. You can also reflect on the environment, the coastal areas, the hills, and the invasive clouds illuminated orange by twilight. Shintaku is a beautiful countryside enveloped by extensive greenery. It is also a picture of tens of boats as a symbol of their life attachment to the River Niger. Life is serene here and inexpensive. The town provides linkages with the tens of communities across some 5 local government areas of Kogi State too. Our visit here is not so much a pleasure tour than an assessment visit. The real story is, communities who live live in proximity to major Nigerian rivers had over the last years lived on the edge of their beds. With every rainy season, their speech falter, their heartbeats skip, and their mind restless. Many of the affected communities may not understand what is climate change. Their concern is to benefit from an all-year-round economic and social activities without let.
Yes, where you have cooperatives tend to strengthen, the communication among farmers. But where farmers are not working together in cooperatives, communication is very weak, and farmers are vulnerable to impact of climate change, such as flood.
Climate change in Nigeria is not merely an academic exercise. It is an objective reality. It in fact has a devastating effect on Nigerian agriculture and rural livelihood. Generally, Nigeria has obsessive inclination at achieving food security by achieving self-sufficiency in food production. In that wise, there is need for sustainable agricultural engagement to meet the increasing demand for food, for the nation's population and for export. There is a national template to ensure that happens, but extreme effects of climate change continue to alter the provisions of the template. Major climate events in Nigeria include flooding, extreme heat and drought. I take a particular look at the effects of flooding on Nigeria's agriculture and rural livelihood in the last few years. According to one study, Nigeria still practices rain-fed agriculture on a large scale. This renders it vulnerable to the adverse effects of climate change, especially with flood. In Nigeria, flood comes with the rains, and over the last 10 years, it has not been easy with the farmers, especially those in the neighborhood of the Nigerian great rivers. They agonizingly witness as large-scale destruction affect every facet of their agriculture. People die, physical structures, properties, and farmlands were destroyed, and many a farming community experienced a changed life. Kabir Abiso is a rice farmer who was a witness to flood in his farmlands.
If a farmer lost through flooding or anything, I'm sorry, there's nothing can be done for him.
Government must. When you lose, what do you lose usually?
You lose, well, your farm has been destroyed, so you can't harvest anything because it has already flooded, and then
Can you use the land again?
You can use that, but what you have planted is over. Then until the water went back. When the water went back, if you are lucky, you can be able to plant some other like beans or anything.
Perhaps no farming groups were at the mercy of floods more than direct neighbors of River Niger and Benue, and with them rice and maize farmers. Government's resolve to stop rice import and stimulate mass cultivation of local rice for domestic needs and for export has found empathy with Nigerians. Nigerians found that they have the land, the soil, and the climatic conditions to cultivate rice on a large scale, not only for local consumption, but also for export. They found also that rice cultivation can be gold, and is a means to an end, a good end. Suddenly, there was massive investments on rice cultivation nationwide. Rice is an aquatic shrub, and most rice fields across the country are floodplains that found support from their proximity to major rivers. When the rivers flood, the rice fields flood. The story generally is that when there is especially failure due to flood, food scarcity is assumed and rising costs for food stuff too. It says nothing of the despair of farmers and a dislocation of national plan for food security.
And if you are lucky, you escape with your life. If you escape with your life, maybe your farm may be washed, so you lost your farm. And sometimes it's not limited to loss of crops only. The soil may equally be washed. Remember, when you have flash flood events, it washes the topsoil, and topsoil is where the nutrients in the soil are localized. So if it washes the soil, the farm becomes degraded. And if you try to farm it subsequently there's that tendency that you have low yield. But then when you look at it globally, it reduces the agricultural productivity of the whole country, and then you have risks of higher prices of food products, and then you also have the risks of famine, insecurity, and so many other vices.
It is part of the effort of flood across the country that is support rural-urban migration on a large scale. Agriculture is the nation's largest employer of labor. Where farmers see their crops go with the rains and flood, people move to find livelihood elsewhere.
The government should try to focus on how to engage farmers. Some of the farmers, when they farm in wet season, they don't care, they don't know how to do the wet season, the dry season, because one, they don't have the facilities, that is water pump, whereby if they have the water pump, so the issue of finance. Dry season, it has a lot of fundings. It needs a lot of fundings for a farmer to irrigate. So this kind of irrigation system is not there. It's inadequate. The issue of funding is very low for us to have a large-scale farming, for a common man to participate in dry season.
The reigning idea for now is to have a channel that will help Nigerian farmers adopt climate-smart practices to allow them be on top of the impetus of climate change and reduce risks. Perhaps this needed a coordinated approach. Perhaps it needed better understanding of climate change itself.
People sometimes are not aware of what the government is doing, or if they are aware, sometimes they are apprehensive of adopting the projections that comes from NIMET, and those projections that come from NISA, Hydrological Center, and the Nigerian Meteorological Center. These are the centers empowered by the federal government to release annual, planting timetable for farmers. And this project is being managed by Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development in collaboration with IFAD. And it deals with the risk, the risk of or the threat of climate change consequences along the frontline states, starting from Sokoto through Jigawa, Borno, Yobe, and probably Kebbi states. All these states have domesticated offices for this particular project. But, I believe that probably the weakest link is in communication between IFAD CABs and state government, because this is a federal government project, and sometimes you find out that there is always communication gap between what federal government is doing and what state government are doing, and what cooperatives are doing at community level. So these are where we need to bridge the gaps to ensure that at least where there is a threat, of flood and climate change consequences, we are able to build the necessary resilience for better and improved food security.
It is good news, however, that Nigerian farmers are seeing the last of floods and the promise it brings of availability and falling prices.
It's a natural cycle. We usually have heavier rainfalls in a 10-year cycle, 2012, then 2022. Probably we expect a more severe, weather or wet season next year. So it's a 10-year cycle. If you go back, say 2002, then 2012, that's when Nigeria experienced its worst, flooding events. Largely, it's not due to what we are doing, because if you look at the way our governments are responding, it's not enough to build resilience among farmers and to build resilience among communities. But gradually, we'll get there.
Actually, one of the reasons for our visit to Shintaku community in Lokoja was to observe whether there was flood in the area this time around. There wasn't. Shintaku is an expressway of River Niger. Not once did the community relocated because of the rising water levels here. They have seen their houses, farmlands and livestock gone with the convulsions of the river. This year it is different. Their rain-fed agriculture is sure to make it to the harvest. This means increase in the food coming out from the farms and a break from high cost of foodstuff. We also visited Adonkolo, still in the outskirts of Lokoja, still on the highway of River Niger. Over the last 10 years, Adonkolo community lived a life of hide and seek with the River Niger. No one structure on the bank of the eternal river here is in a proper shape. Yet the people cling to the area. You can swear no alternative ever exists. This year, the community are more relaxed with the issue of flood, but the fear is not far away. I have always said it. Amid travels, I have come across River Niger a lot. Now, this is another beautiful picture of River Niger, looking very elegant in Kogi. That means precisely in Lokoja, Kogi State. Yes, River Niger always looks beautiful and elegant. And to the people around Kogi area, yes, it always provided them their livelihood by fishing. It allowed them to do their travels. But then, for the hundreds of communities that are living on its bank, the River Niger can be a source of hypertension as well. You know why? Because of frequent flooding. And believe me, communities around these areas in Kogi State do face flooding virtually every year. Mercifully, this year, there has not been any report of flooding. Although the water levels have risen at a point, but then there has not been obvious cases of flood. But still, the people are still from being, their mind are still far from being rested because they still fear flood, because they still say the rain season is far from over and they may still live with the flood. But then I have somebody who has a house around this area. Malandoda, Salaam alaikum. Come, please come, let's talk. Malandoda here lives on the bank of the River Niger, around this area. Malan, thank you. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. I know you live around this area. You live along the river, the bank of the River Niger always. Yes. Tell me, for some people, you communities who are living around this area, what does it mean living with the river in this year in, year out, especially during the rainy season?
During the rainy season like this.
Open your mouth, please, and speak to
rainy season.
Yes.
No, we have problem of water here all the time.
Yeah.
Every year, flood even will pack us. But by this time, we never even know whether it will reach where it reached last year, whether it will still pack most of us this year. We never even know.
Okay.
But it's for the year now. It's why we are living here mostly because we are catching fish. You know that is cross the river to go and harvest some things. So it's like this island now, so where people even really farm for there. So that is the reason why mostly we stay here.
But
especially by fishing.
But across all this area, Mandola, I can see most of the communities are packed. But we have not packed. Why? Don't you fear the flood?
We are always all the time. We cannot fear because we don't know where to park to. So if the water pack us, we go and stay with some of our brothers' high places. Then the way the water finish, we come back to the place again.
Why won't you transfer yourself and all your family to the high ground and instead of exposing them to danger every year?
It's because of money now, because there's no money to go establish for another place. And if you want to come out from here now to higher place, it's very far away from us to come and do our activity we are doing here, like fishing and other farming in the highland there.
The graphics at Adonkolo looks more like an event of a giant tornado than that of a river known for supporting livelihood along its extensive pathways, missing the cut and taking uncharted courses, unleashing mayhem. The water is known to encroach almost a kilometer of its natural boundary in Adonkolo, bringing down houses, destroying livestock and property, and forcing immigration up its bank. But the people always come back to rebuild. This year there is no migration on account of the turbulence of their liquid neighbor.
By the grace of God, we don't have fear of flood this year.
Okay, but because the rain is still going on.
Not even issue of raining. Naturally, we know it's the movement of the water.
I want to say that for more than 20-something years, we have not been experiencing flood before that 2012. So immediately that 2012, we discovered that it was very heavy. And since then, it has become a continuous happening each year, annually. So if we say we are not afraid, well, to a certain level, we are not afraid because as at month of September, early September, we're supposed to have seen water grown to a certain level.
Okay.
But since till this moment in time, you can see the level at which it is. So it gives us a mind that maybe it will not exceed this one. But we have been hearing that they normally open it from various dams. And if it's going to come from various dams, then there's tendency that they may open. So the certainty that it's not going to come
Yes,
is
obviously.
not too certain.
It is the opinion of the community leaders in Adonkulu that the only way to stop flooding along the stretches of River Niger and Lokoja generally is to erect a strong embankment that will not allow the water to cross over. A beautiful idea, really, even though there is no sort of what it will cost to do that.
I'll take, for instance, we're talking about the aspect of people, the state government doing embankments. I want to believe that if such kind of thing can be done within this environment, the aspect of water will no longer, because it is because there are this area is not raised up. You understand? Had it been is raised up, water will not have chance to come this place. That's why we are talking about embankment. It will save many houses. But if you say the other way around, then the state government can help us to say, okay, there's a plot, maybe a particular land in social area. Everyone that is within social area, you have to move. And as you are moving, this is the house we have for you, they build for you. Or if not, this is plot for you. Gradually, as you are suffering within 1-2 years, we want you to relocate to that place. You know, that one will give a relief.
It's a
Somebody
motivation.
who got plot, at least begin to remove his things and begin to change.
As a measure of the abundant benefit a flood-free year brings to the Nigeria's agriculture, we went to Kwata Market in Lokoja and observe what is happening differently there. Kwata Market is a riverside market. It is every 4 days. We waited 4 days after our engagement in Kogi State to see the market unfold. And there it was in full magnificence. Over 200 riverine communities in 3 states of Kogi, Nasarawa and Benue patronize this market. They all come here by boat of different sizes. At the peak of harvest, over 100 boats arrive here every market day. Often, because of the distance they cover to be here, or because of the effects of rain, it takes some boats 2 days to arrive. River Benue is their highway. Kwata is the only market they know. They sell of their farm produce here. They also buy what they want to take back home here. Farm produce is their main commodity of trade. Paddy rice mainly. Fish come in a close second. There are fruits, vegetables, livestock, and wood too. They all make the cut for the market. With the paddy rice especially, those scores of communities along channels of river Benue in 3 states of Kogi, Benue and Nasarawa, are vast rice fields that never fail to deliver. Over 10,000 bags of paddy arrive this market from those communities by boat every market day. It is an improvement from the quantum of delivery last year. This year, the rice fields are not spoiled by flood. In fact, the marketers here believe that what we see of paddy now is a tip of the iceberg. In the coming days, when the harvest is advanced, there may be a glut.
Particularly like paddy, it is a seasonal period. So this is the harvesting period where farmers normally bring it to the good because they do plant during rainy season. So such now, by special grace of God, within January, this paddy will come to an end. Then people will now start going back for dry season farming, which will also come up by March, April, May again. So paddy is normally being a seasonal, not every day like that. But like fishing also is also a seasonal. Like now from this month and next month, more fish will be coming because people will be getting more access to fishing.
The paddy that are brought to this market are immediately mopped up. There are agents at standby who mediate between the farmers and the buyers. We met regular buyers like Hajja Saudat here. She has been in this market for over 10 years. She buys paddy and sells rice companies who process rice. She said this year the prices are coming down. midday now, and there is an obvious cessation of arrivals from these riverine communities to Kwata market with their goods. Now, what is happening is active marketing. The market is full, and there are various activities going on, selling of fish, of paddy rice, of vegetables, and of, in fact, various items of food stuff. So, I am here with the Hajia Ruqayya.
Your fish.
Yeah, I'm here with Hajia Ruqayya. Hajia Ruqayya is an agent, and for the last 10 years, she is a person who buys from the riverine communities and sells to the people that are coming from different parts of this country to sell. So, let's say I explain. Hajia Ruqayya, for how long have you been coming to this market?
I've been coming to this market for more than 10 years now.
10 years.
Though I was born and brought up in this market.
You mean your parents are part of the market?
Yes, my parents are part of the market.
So you take over from them?
From them, yes, exactly.
So what do you do exactly in the market?
I do exchange of goods. I buy from those that brought from across and resell to the consumers.
Okay. So over those 10 years, tell me, how is the life around this area?
Yeah, the market was quite sweet. It was good. Then you sell, you buy at the rate of amount, then you sell, you gain from it again. The market was sweet.
It was sweet. So what and what are usually you buy?
I used to buy pepper, I buy fish, I buy vegetables, different type of goods.
Fish is a bit low in supply now because of too much water, but it is there. It is a hub area of its own in the market. Waters receding with the dry season is the peak period for fishing in this area. There are tens of vehicles on standby for their paddy load to transport across mills in Nigeria. Buyers arrive from Kano, Kaduna, Kebbi, and Edo to buy and feed the processing mills. The market can be in hyperactive mode, especially when they cannot stop arriving, usually by noon. Other scenes are sold there too. But the market exists precisely because of those voyagers from the riverine communities of Kogi, Nasarawa, and Benue, and their cargo of foodstuff. Market like this too is an indicator of what direction food prices and the country's drive for food security are heading to. This year, there is no flood, and the riverine farmlands are delivering with the integrity. By January, the irrigation systems will advance the gains of the rain's harvest.
War is an evil net that traps the innocent and the guilty.
War is a wildfire that spreads beyond the quenching efforts of men. The weak, the strong, the rich, the poor, even the unborn will have no identities.
Tribes and tongues and religions will no longer make any meaning at all.
Knowledge will fail you. The economy will be grounded. Your political connections will be useless. And life in general will be stranded if not ended.
Manipulators, troublemakers, and table shakers will not be exempted.
That is why we must make peace the only option in Nigeria.
Join us in one love to preach peace in all the 36 states in Nigeria, including AFCT.
For peaceful engagements through town hall meetings, rallies, and unity concerts.
Remember, the two strongest warriors are patience and time.
Make peace the only option now.
This message is brought to you by the Ambassador of Voice for Change Initiative, supported by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, and the Federal Capital Territory.
Welcome to Abuja, the place that unites Nigeria.
wannan labarin ma yana peji na 36.
Ita kuma babban labarin wannan jarida shine ainihin
labarin da ke gaban jarida shine ta bayyana cewa
ọkwa ojii ikenga eziokwu
nwanne m nwoke
Ikechukwu Ndukwe Igbo
iji wee mee ka ụbọchị na-aga n'anya ya
nation fún ti òwúrọ̀ yìí ibẹ̀ náà ti sọ pé àwọn ìgbìmọ̀ aláṣẹ ìpínlẹ̀ Benue pàṣẹ wípé.
ní gbogbo àwọn ẹ̀ka ní ẹ̀ka ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ní ẹ̀ka ètò ìlera ní ẹ̀ka ètò ààbò.
Now, when we get to understand this thing, we get to find out that as we grow older in life, certain things happen. One of them is not being so healthy. Remember, I didn't say sickness. Not being so healthy because we move from one realm to the other. Cancer is one of such things we do not know how it happened. We do not know what causes it, but somehow it's beginning to permeate the human realm and causing a lot of havoc. And do we allow it? The answer is no. Because if you look at the word cancer alone, there is a can inside it. That means we can survive it. Today we're going to look at cancer, and especially as it concerns women, breast cancer, cervical cancer, a whole lot of it. And I have people who are not just cancer survivors, but they are cancer crusaders. Trust me, they'll be bearing their mind for you today. I'll let them introduce themselves. Let's start from, when I was small, we used to do tumbon. Okay, so that.
Hello, good morning. My name is Nina Maria Pene. I'm a 42-year-old mother of two. I work in the civil service and I am a breast cancer survivor. Okay. I'm still in treatment anyways, but I am a survivor.
Okay.
Yeah, good morning everyone. It's always beautiful to be here with you on the conversation on the largest television network. My name is Halima Usman. I'm here to give support to Lizzie and of course to my very good friends here.
All right. My name is Chestnut Milo Dorothy Nuhu Akenova. I'm a breast cancer survivor and a feminist.
Okay. She says she's a feminist, and all of us here are womanists. And one way or the other, I tell people that cancer is not just what you feel on the skin. There are a lot of cancers in our lives. It could be your emotional problem, it could be your family problem, it could be your office problem, whatever it is, it becomes cancerous. But then I always say remove the bad parts, take the good one, which is a can. Yes, we can. Let's see this feature. When we come back, we'll talk in details.
Cancer ranks top on the chart as a leading cause of death and an important barrier to increasing life expectancy in every country of the world. According to the World Health Organization in 2019, it is the second leading cause of death in 112 of 183 countries, affecting people before the age of 70 and ranking third and fourth in 23 other countries. In Nigeria, cancer is responsible for 72,000 deaths with an estimated 102,000 cases annually, with cases varying by gender. For men, the most common types of cancer are prostate, colorectal, and non-Hodgkin lymphoma. On the other hand, for women, they are breast cancer, cervical cancer, and ovarian cancer. Breast cancer affects people in Nigeria, with 12% of the disease representing new cases and 25% of all cancers in women. Cells in healthy breast tissue can become cancerous and can spread to other parts of the body. Symptoms include a large lump, swelling, pain in the breast, bloody discharge of the nipple, the skin peeling on your breast, an inverted nipple, and so on. There are also different types of breast cancer, such as invasive ductal carcinoma and angiosarcoma. Although they generally have less of it, men have breast tissue just like women do and can get breast cancer too. However, it is a rare occurrence. Cervical cancer is a type of cancer that starts in the cervix. The cervix connects the uterus to the vagina. Many women with cervical cancer do not realize they have the disease early on because it usually does not cause any visible symptoms until the late stages. Typical cervical cancer symptoms are unusual bleeding, such as in between periods, after sex, or after menopause, vaginal discharge that looks or smells different than usual, pain in the pelvis, needing to urinate more often, pain during urination, and so on. Most cervical cancer cases are caused by the human papilloma virus, also known as HPV. Nevertheless, cervical cancer is treatable if caught early. The 4 main treatments are surgery, radiation therapy, chemotherapy, and targeted therapy. Whether from genetics, lifestyle choices, environment, or a combination of all, cancer can affect anyone regardless of their background. There is no known cure for the disease as of today. However, one can reduce one's risk to it by leading a healthy lifestyle. Eat healthy, exercise frequently, and get regular medical checkups. Early detection is always key in fighting cancer. Have you done your self-breast examination today?
All right, that question for me is very paramount. It is pertinent. It is important we examine ourselves. And I may not be physically, a carrier, but one way or the other, we have all been affected. If it's not your family member, it could be your friend, it could be your colleague. One way or the other, you may have lost life. You may have someone who is living with it. I have 2 of my friends here who are survivors. Incidentally, their voices are very loud. But I've had stories. A lot of times, it doesn't really sink in. Let me start with you. How was it like for you? How did you notice? How was it revealed, so to speak?
Well, I just got home one evening, and it was during hammer time, it was December. And usually the skin gets dry and itchy during that December period. So when I got home and I felt itchy on my breast, I just assumed, okay, this brow must have been too tight and, the weather is too dry. So I gave it a good scratch. And then there was a little burst on the nipple and I felt some coldness. And then when I checked my t-shirt, I had lines of dark brown, stains. And I have been a sexuality educator for years, so I knew the implication of a discharge that is brownish in color from the nipple. So my world just came to a halt that second, that moment. That's how the journey began for me. Then I had to see a doctor, I had to contact an older feminist friend, who is also an advocate in the field of breast cancer. And she's the one who said, look, Dorothy, you got to pursue this aggressively. I think you should.
I would like to know the aggressiveness and what it all involved. But let's see. I noticed you were shaking your head.
Sorry, I'm being dramatic, but I can understand it. So mine was during lockdown last year, August. Okay, I think 2 weeks before that, my right shoulder had been, this is my right one, my right shoulder had been hurting. And I told my husband, and he said, you probably slept wrongly. And I'm like, okay, but it shouldn't take...
Right shoulder hurting?
Yeah, that was
this is
for
the
me.
First time I ever noticed.
That's what I said. So everybody has their own reason. Then one day I took off my bra, and my nipple had gone in, like it had collapsed. So I was like, okay, this is not normal. Then I've read other people's stories, and just seeing there and then, you just know that there's something wrong. I didn't have a discharge, but I just knew that this is not normal. There's something wrong. Yes, it inverted. Next thing, I do an exam, and it wasn't really fun, but I was like, there's something that is really not right, because you do have those hard this thing. I went for a mammogram. Nobody sent me. I went for a mammogram. They now called me. And you just keep trying to say, okay, this is not it. So the particular breast was dense. They couldn't see through it. The other one was clear. Couldn't see, but there was something inside. So I had to go for biopsy. I still kept saying, and the doctors were like, oh no, it's nothing. That's the thing. Everybody was like, even when they took it out, oh, it's nothing. Until I got my results in August.
I think they tried to give us a soft landing, don't they?
And your brain just tells you, okay, it is something else. It is something else. It is benign. Until August, I heard it. I was trying to be strong. The next thing I thought about, the doctor now goes, it's cancer. Okay. It was a horrible 2 weeks of my life, because I couldn't cry myself to sleep. I had to stay awake until I am physically tired, so that I just sleep at once. Because you try to sleep, in between falling asleep, you now think of, you're going to die. You think of all the people you remember and who died. And, we all associated cancer with death. I cried. Then I started talking to different people. That was what gave me peace. I sent it to my uncle in America, who's a doctor, a friend who's a doctor, and they said one thing that calmed me down. As you grow older, these things happen. And it was stage 1, early stage. You can beat it, you can this one. But someone was like, you're so young. I started crying again, because I was like, so what am I going to do? I have 2 young kids. One just turned 7, the other one is going to be 4 end of the year. So, those are the thoughts that go through your mind. I lost my mom when I was 15, so I didn't want this to happen again. So, yes, it took a rough getting used to. But after a while, you create your own stories. I spoke to someone, and they said sometimes what aggravates it or increases it is your state of mind. And I kept myself busy researching. I found second opinions. I didn't go to just one doctor. When I wasn't comfortable with the course of treatment, I spoke to another doctor. I found another doctor. So, speaking and reading and talking about it kind of gave me peace. So I did my lumpectomy because the first doctor said I should take everything off. You're dealing with losing body parts. I have estrogen-related lobular breast cancer. I've had ovarian cyst. I've had fibroid. I had my first child with fibroid. So these are precursors for me to having breast cancer. And I think I'm lucky, because it could have shown up in my ovaries, which I wouldn't have known until it would really become bad. So I think I'm lucky it even came out in the breast. So I did my lumpectomy. I just finished my chemo on the 8th of March, and I'm due for radiotherapy. I've started hormone treatment. And there are days you cry, there are days you feel sad, there are days you remember, but you look up and you realize that everybody's battling one thing or the other. If this is my own, I just move forward with it. And I've met women that have gone through worse things. Some lost their husbands while they were receiving treatment, and they've come out stronger. And now that we are aware, it's not as frightening as we thought it would be, because the word cancer tends to connote you are gone, but there are lots of people living with it, and
I think
we
the
look good.
reason is because people never were outspoken as we are now. Like 10 years ago, when I discovered mine, people weren't talking.
Yeah.
People were all in hiding.
You've been on with it for 10 years.
Yes, it's over 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I know that 10 years, now it's still bad. People get it. They don't want to share it.
Yeah.
They want to discuss it under the...
as if it's a stigma.
Yes, as if it's your fault.
It's not.
I mean, it's nothing.
I think it's just that attitude of this is the end of the road for this one is going to die. I've seen family and even partners react that way when their wives are diagnosed.
Yeah.
They just give up, and then that support that the woman needs is withdrawn, because they feel like they're pouring water into a basket, and they don't end up giving support to the girls or to the women. And sometimes you talk and it makes sense, but sometimes you talk and then they never come out of it. You know, so it's just the attitude, generally speaking, that people give up on other people. You know, and that's why our stories and voices are very important. We need to let people know that imagine if somebody gave up on me 10 years ago. All the great things I've done since 10 years ago would not have been done.
That's true.
That's terrible. Even if someone has just one day to impact the world, the person deserves an opportunity. And the people who are passing the sentence on us, they don't know what they are carrying. Many people have died that didn't even have cancer from a diagnosis till now. You know, so all of us are on borrowed time. Let it sink, and that will help us not to be judgmental and to condemn other people.
Now, I would like to know, you talked about support and all of that. How was the support for you? I mean, work-related, you know, family-related. How was it? What was it that happened for you that kept you going up until now?
Well, I'm very fortunate because I work in the field of sexual and reproductive health. And as a feminist, I have alliances across the globe. So I have friends in India. That's where I obtained my treatment and went for follow-up until, you know, recently when people can travel again and then begin to do everything here. In the board, it was also very supportive. I work with a non-governmental organization. That year I was diagnosed. We had just introduced a module in our training for women and girls on cancer, reproductive cancer. So just after doing the module, then I come down with cancer.
Was it because you did the module?
No. But the module prepared me. Because if I have done module for people, then I should be in a good position to show by example what I have written. And that was very encouraging because the alternative that I was getting pressure around from the church, especially because I'm also an evangelist, is when there is convention, you must go there. When there's Holy Ghost night, you must go there. Just keep going and you will get your miracle one day. You know? And then I sat and thought to myself, after educating hundreds of women, then they come and greet me all skeleton smelly. Then they're going to ask me a question. How come I put that information out for other people to use and could not use it for yourself? That just switched the thing roundabout for me and put me in a fighting mode, and that's the mode I've been on. Family, I've been very, very a handful kind of person. I've given them tough time. I divorced my husband. I married a younger man. The family disowned me, you know. So I expected that the younger man was going to stick with this situation. But no, he just couldn't cope with it. I understand very well, you know. So I had to pick the pieces. Eventually got reconciled with my born-again pastor husband, you know. So it's been good support network, and that's very crucial, because if everybody who comes around you speaking life into your body, giving you courage to move on, if you see their smiles, you know, it helps you to move on day after day. You know, Marie, you talked about, you know, the fact that these panics and anxieties, they set in. I tell you, they still do. Every time you go for your checkup,
like, oh Lord.
You are waiting for the results, you know, and sometimes they are misdiagnosing and etc., putting you in panic mode. I have lost like 10 kg in 2 weeks before because I got a result that I wasn't prepared for. So it's a long journey, and what you need is that support system that can keep encouraging you. Say, no, you fought it when it was bad. You can still fight it now.
Exactly.
You know.
You know, when she was talking, I just remembered. So I did this cervical cancer test. Yesterday I was talking to Nina about it. So when I did that cervical cancer test, you understand, that was in 2015 we started. After 6 months, you go for the second and the third. They were doing, I think, they were doing a research. So I went. They didn't tell me the result, the first result, until after the second one. So that was when they told me that you have trace of cancer. Oh my God. Okay, so I just felt that, okay, the end has come.
It has a way of
like,
doing
it's
that
time to write your will and just bid the world goodbye, you know. But I think, I don't know, maybe because I'm a fighter myself. So at a point, I started asking myself and started searching and reading and asking myself, so if truly this thing turns out to be what it is suspected to be, and probably I have just few months to live, what happens? So I told myself, well, if that's what's going to happen, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to live the best of my life. I am into charity, which you know I love working with people, helping people. So I told myself, let me just die doing these things that I love to do. So I picked up, I got busy doing those things. And I think somehow that was what helped me. And then I stopped taking certain kinds of food. I stopped eating anything with sugar, stopped taking minerals, anything that has to do with sugar, I cut it down. And I ensure that my food, no matter what I'm eating, has a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits. So I just, it was like you said, a complete change, change of lifestyle. And I was surprised when I went for the final test. They said it's cleared. I said okay.
They do not diagnose you.
And I think that's another problem. Yes. That's another, because you've had cases of, okay, so for me, my own support, I have lots of friends, and honestly, my family and friends have been fantastic. I have a boss, his name is Charles, my husband's name too is Charles, and he did something great. He had put out his sister's own, so I called him up and said, this is my own problem. So he called my husband too, and explained to him that this is going to be a tough journey, even for you. Men have been known to accuse their wives, because even sleeping with your husband, you don't have that appetite or energy. So he said some men have accused their wives, they've left their wives, they blah blah blah. So somehow, don't know, my husband Kukuma stuck with me because he doesn't have any choice.
You are charming.
Thank you. He does, and somehow I feel I have to be cheerful for people around me, because if you're down and whatever, they're going to feel down. And like my husband says, I don't know what to do. I really don't know how you're feeling. I can't explain. And I have lovely friends. I had a friend when I was looking for money, they donated, and one of them said, your own job is to get well. Our own job is to find how to get you what you need. My cousins in various countries, it's just been awesome. And with them, it's been funny. Even in my office, the other day, the office was hot. My office is on 10th floor, so those on 10th floor know, not everybody. And I took off my wig, and everybody was, so this is what you look like. Nobody made it weird. I go to my friends' homes. I don't go with my wig. My hair is looking all funny, and there's acceptance. You're like, oh, you look nice. It's one of those things you would get over.
I think Nina is very strong. Sincerely speaking, because when I first heard her story, she actually broke the news to me and said,
because you got tired of explaining to people, where are you? Why are you wearing this? So you're like, okay, you know what, this is it. And because she's a woman too, I'm using my own story to help other women, because I'm early stage breast cancer. I have estrogen related lobular breast cancer. I didn't know it was 6 months ago, but I understand it now. And I always tell women, it's not just checking whatever, check your hormonal level. I believe if I checked my hormones, because it's my hormones, I would have figured out that there was something wrong. But nobody tells us. I had a condition, I kept going to the hospital, they kept saying it was this, it was that. Nobody thought to check. This was 3 years ago after I had my child, to check my hormonal level. That's what I think, because it's my hormones that now so I'm now taking estrogen blockers. I'm blocking my hormones, because for me, the hormones that are causing this thing. So it's just
a lot of people it could be, but I would like to know what has changed for you, when it comes to your lifestyle. What has changed? Maybe she mentioned something about food. It was you that said it. What has changed for you?
Total lifestyle changes. People have become a priority to me. I mean, I worked in a non-governmental setting, and it's about people, but it was very clinical kind of work I was doing. But now I'm more interested in the people. I want to know how you are. I want to know how you feel, It's more, I believe now in connections.
Yes.
I want to connect with whoever crosses my path. And I want to leave something when we meet, so that when you go, you always think, I learned something new from this woman. So it may be an obsession. So I'm into developing projects and programs, and just doing things all over the place that can make impact. And then I've learned to spend time with my family. It was at my diagnosis I was saying, son sits in this part of the house. I didn't even know where son used to sit from. Because I was out there working, I was out traveling and all of that. And of course, I've changed my diet. So the sugars were the first to go.
The sugars are usually a problem.
I'm letting go of the animal protein and vegetables and fruits, especially when they are not cooked. Very important. I make sure that I move my bowel regularly so that toxins are not accumulated in my body. I drink lots of water. And that's something that most people don't do. And if we don't drink water, we can't flush things out. And then I'm an exercise freak. I've always exercised.
You look
This has made it, and I still exercise.
Look at. Do you exercise?
I had to. I started. So my own story. I'm just 6 months into this journey. So so yes, I get it. But for me, I've learned to do ugu juice. I have drank every type of juice. I have bowel movement. I have learned to do exercise. Now, unfortunately for me, it was not my thing. I learned it. So today, I watch my steps. You need to. I try to challenge, but as a human being, there are times you fall by the wayside. When you fall by the wayside, your body now tells you, hey, you know this thing. Like last week, I was doing coffee. I like coffee. I like my coffee, and I remembered that this thing. So it's
coffee is a no.
Well, it will depress your system because it mimics fatigue and stress in the body.
Yeah,
and
so
you want your body to optimally function so that you can resist infection. So not only reoccurrence, but also other infections around.
So then I went to see my doctor because after chemo, my mind, I celebrated her party. I just, it took a struggle. It's like when you're at the last end of the race, when you now find that they have reached the race, you're like, I'm taking a holiday. Then my doctor now said, I haven't seen you. I've not scheduled you for whatever, and whatever, you're getting fat again. I went up to 90, so I went back again. I'm now 86. The thing is, I don't look my weight. That's the funny thing. So it crept up on me. And for me, estrogens, the fatter you are, okay, my doctor says peripheral fat increases estrogen. So for me, I have to keep it on the low. I always have to be cautious. I have to whatever. I don't have to feed it. So sugars feed, but there's also an argument because you are supposed to take fruits. Fruits have fructose. It has sugar. So it's a balance, delicate balance.
Maybe we're talking about refined sugar.
Yeah, refined sugar.
Vegetables.
Yeah, because everybody gives, don't take sugar, don't. So you have to do your research. And I'm like, so someone was like, what don't you eat and what do you? I said, I eat everything. I just make sure I balance it out. I do more vegetables. I have to. More vegetables, more fruits. But I'm not going to cut out sugar from my life. I'm going to deprive myself something. So it's then...
So you still do ice cream?
No. Well, but you're allowed to have a break once in a while. You're not a monk or you're not whatever. You're not... You have to cut yourself some slack, but it's just being disciplined about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just new in the journey, but what has changed for me is I'm doing more. My case was the reverse. Especially with young kids, we'll do this tomorrow. I kept postponing, but now I'm taking my children swimming. I'm doing this. I'm pushing myself out there. I'm coming home tired, and I'm excited about it. I'm no longer as lazy as I used to be. And I'm also reaching out to people. I'm also wanting to have engagements and talks and seeing everybody as somebody to reach out to. Because people made this journey easy for me. So I might as well just pay it forward. And I try not to let normal things disturb me. This one did not greet me. This one did not smile at me.
Mindset is important.
Mindset is, this doctor, because it's normal. This doctor did this to me. I move on to finding a solution instead of dwelling in. It's hard sometimes.
I think survivors are solution finders. Actually,
you have to.
Those who get weighed down now, the ones who sit and brood and
you can't.
I've seen people who refuse to go back for treatment because doctor talked to her anyhow. You know that?
Yeah,
because doctors talk to you anyhow because they have this experience where people come and they just vanish into thin air.
Yeah.
They go to seek for prayers on some prayers work, but prayers and faith without
good
action,
works,
timely and appropriate action is zero. We have to back it up with appropriate and timely action. That's the concern of the doctor. Don't just thin out and disappear on them. So they
don't get angry.
that and they talk to you in a way that sometimes may appear condescending, but they want you to come back. And yet, some women just take it as an offense and they don't go back.
I think this prayer thing for us, I believe in God, man, has whatever, but I think it's more because the cost of cancer treatment is expensive and it is long. We don't have enough equipment. It's okay.
You know, somehow I think that if I knew this at the beginning, I'd have been defeated in my mind.
Yeah, I know.
If anybody had told me the total cost of what I need to stay alive till I am here now, I would have given up, because there was no way I could have fathomed in my life that I would have that kind of money come in my way. No way. So sometimes I struggle with what to do. Do we let people know, or do we just let them? It's like when
let them find it out.
The
Find out.
architect or engineer just plays you, before you know it, your millions are gone. So a day at a time. But the important thing is that the resources will always be available, because life is like that.
Yes, somehow God does not give us a burden that He will not give us enough grace to carry it on. I know one CC Scout once said that the human spirit is stronger than anything that can happen to it. Yes, if we are strong on the inside, we can defeat whatever it is. Sometimes we think we don't have money. With a blink of an eye, the money comes. Let's take this break, and when we come back, we'll still have our discussion on cancer.
Back to 2014. I remember I felt a lump on my right breast, but I ignored it because it was silent. It didn't do anything. So I remember walking in, never imagined that would be the beginning of a life change for me. And we proceeded to have the mammogram examination, and she said, "Oh, I feel a lump." And I said, "Yeah, it's been there for a while." And she said, "Let's just look at it and see what the mammogram says." They did a biopsy, and interestingly, the first report said that it was negative. But I had a very experienced doctor, which matters, and he said, "I am personally going to do this biopsy." So I had to go into the theater again. They did a biopsy, and you know what? When the report came back, it was cancerous. And when I say that, I couldn't say this 5 years ago, because I'm celebrating 5 years of being in remission, of being cancer-free. Why did I survive? I survived because in everything that I did, from the first time that I was diagnosed, yes, in Nigeria, it was Nigeria that diagnosed me. It was Nigeria that first treated me. So Nigeria has the capacity to save lives.
Okay, so cancer, you just saw a bit of another survivor, Choma. She actually was in the 4th stage. That was big.
That bad.
It was big. But she was supposed to be here with us. Unfortunately, she's not here. One thing I have learned from her is the strong will, to live. The strong will, just pretty much like you, she has actually demystified it. You don't get to feel this is a death sentence. Of course it's not. And